everyone. How are you? Making sure I have a little audio. Looks good. Always checking. You know, it's been quite a week for technology. Okay, I think we look good. I'm so excited for this class. Today is a recovery reset. So as part of our new format, on Mondays we rebound, although for the next few weeks I'm going to be working a Swiss ball kind of workaround. I'm going to try to work out a format for next Monday for a seated bounce. So you can join me on that. There's also a kneeling bounce possibility. So, you know, there's possibilities, but I'm just, as you can tell, still in the boot, still kind of working my way through recovery from a foot injury. And so we're just taking it easy and being creative in the process. And I hope that serves you as well. I see that Tracy is here. Good morning. I'm looking forward to the recovery too. Yes. And stiff for lower back. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Heather. Yeah, so like this is one of my favorite formats to teach, this recovery reset, because it honestly meets the needs from my joint needs, my point of view, a little bit of a down regulation of the nervous system. And you know, for any of us who struggle with joint issues, with body pain, with stiffness, you know, there's more and more of us every single day, but it's just so imperative that we include this sort of format into the mix of all the things. And you know, we have to strengthening benefits the support of our body, and doing the cardiovascular benefits the support of our heart and lungs. But the recovery and the ability to kind of be with yourself and make choices that are really nourishing is, I think, just so often the benefits of it are overlooked. So what we're going to do today is focus largely on the hips. I think the description says we're going to focus on getting up and getting down. We've done a lot of that over the past 2 days, especially with our strength building yesterday. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling it. So we're going to really focus on just calming those muscles down and getting them a little bit more prepared to continue to get up and get down off the floor. So to begin, we're going to start standing with our feet wide, and I'm weight bearing mostly on your right, my left leg, but I'm just gonna use it as a balance. I'm still under my step count for the day. I'm only allowed 3,000, so I'm keeping it easy, but we'll get down to the mat in a few moments. Just to begin, I'd like to take a little roll down forward. And in the event that you are not rolling, you know, you always have a hip hinge, a flat back hip hinge opportunity for yourself. So let's begin just in a nice stable position. Just take a moment to arrive with your feet firmly on the ground, feeling your tailbone become heavy, like there is like a 10-pound weight just strung to the tip of your tailbone. So it's not pulling you down actively or violently, it's just more allowing for that drop of the tail, length of the lower back, in a way that feels gentle and nice, yeah? All right, we'll begin by bringing our chin into the throat. So just tuck your chin in and begin to roll down slowly. And checking in with your alignment as you go. Sometimes the feet can be turned in different ways. As you bring yourself all the way down to the ground, just let yourself hang for a moment, bending your knees as much or as little as you need to. Imagining that all of the unwanted or unhelpful thoughts that exist in your head just kind of spill out onto the ground. We can just kind of sweep them out of the way, right? Just like, we don't need you right now. From here, we're going to just land into your footprints as you bend your knees. Feel your footprints get heavier, and then curl your tail under. That weight is pulling your tail down as you roll up through the spine. Coming up nice and tall. Ears gliding back over your shoulders. Let's take a side bend over to the right. Just sliding your hand down to your knee, to your ankle, wherever it goes, and then lifting up through the side. We'll go in the other direction. What a gift to give to ourselves, to let ourselves transition nicely into the weekend. Sometimes the weekends can be more active than the week, and so this is going to be a great way just to give ourselves the opportunity to just check in. I know that the vast majority of folks here on the channel, all the subscribers. Welcome to the new ones, absolutely. I know that many of you are women, and I just want to continue to create this community of meeting our needs, no matter how much value is put on them in the society. Let's stay here and then let's roll down again. So what I mean by that is sometimes slowing down is not valued as a high output activity. Let's let those hands come down, taking care of yourself in this position. Just a couple breaths here, just really establishing your footprints into the ground. And then from here, let's bend and stretch our knees a couple times. So just bend down as much as you can and then stretch it up as high as you can. Bend your knees. Think of lifting your sits bones to the sky. We'll go a couple more. Bend and stretch. And one more. And stretch. Good. And then bend your knees if you like as we roll back up. So our goal today is just to kind of go against the grain of what's said to be valuable in terms of movement and do what we need to do. All right. Widen your feet out a little bit farther. This is about as far as I think I can go. We're going to take a little side lunge over to the right, taking both hands on the right knee. Just feel the stretch, the gentle stretch of your inner thigh. And then as you come up, let's slice the arms back. Let's open our chest. Press your hips forward so you open them. Oh my God, do I need that? Good. Other side. Bend your knee. Just find that inner thigh stretch. It doesn't have to be huge. Good. Press back and feel the back of your shoulders just pressing back, opening your chest all the way, pressing your hips open. Let's go again over to the right, bending down, breathing in, breathing out, sinking your hip, feeling your heel press down, lift your chest, slice your hands back, open your heart, and the front of your body. Good. And over to the other side. If y'all have been watching my Instagram, you've seen that I got a new toy. Oh my God, I'm so sore. From very small things, right in the center. I'm gonna show a little more of it today. Let's come back to center, but holy moly. All right, left hand to right knee, bend over again. Let's take your rotation to the side. Just look up to the sky. Think of reaching your hips backwards so you get a nice stretch through your hamstrings, through your inner thigh. And then we're just gonna bend both knees and alternate to the other side. Yes. Looking up if it's comfortable, looking down if that's more of a balanced place for you. Good. And then bend both knees. Let's roll up one more time. We're gonna make our way down to the mat. Onto hands and knees. So however you like to do that. And if you're working on getting up or down from the ground, let's think about making it a defined strategy. So sometimes, coming down into a kneeling position is the way that you're gonna go. Sometimes it's gonna be crouching, finding your hands to the ground, and then going one foot at a time. Just be mindful about the way you get into it, yeah? Once we're here, we're gonna be hands onto the mat, knees just about hip width distance apart. And then I want you to feel like if we were on our back, we would be rolling into a bridge. We're gonna just try to articulate each bone of our spine, starting from the tail as we curl under. So the tail curls under and it pulls the sacrum. The sacrum pulls the bones of the lower back one at a time. The lower back pulls the bones of the middle back and the rib cage. And then the rib cage pulls the bones of the head, of the neck, and then the head. Feel that the hairline at the top of your neck is allowed to stretch away from the neck itself, and feel that round back. And we're gonna oppose this from the tail again. So the tail starts to point up. It pulls the sacrum along with it. We go through the bones of the lower back, the middle back, the rib cage. Feel that the rib cage transitions into the neck, and then take your eyes up. Like you could look at your eyebrows here. Let's do that slow one more time in each direction. So the tail goes, pulling the bones of the lower back, pulling the bones of the middle back, pulling the bones of the ribs, all the way up into the neck, pushing down through your knees, down through your hands, feeling a stretch between your shoulder blades, back of the neck. Here, take a deep breath across your wide back. And exhale, find the stretch you need today, then tilt the tail up. And reach through the lower back. Reach through the middle, through the ribs, and all the way up through the eye gaze. Now, let's just pause here. You can release your head if you like. I want you to feel that deep fold in the crease of your hip. We're going to take, let's say, your left leg out to the side. Try your best to make sure that that leg is in line with your hip, meaning that it's not backward. You'll get more of a stretch here. And again, it does not matter how far you go. This is your stretch. So we're going to take a little bit of the bend out of the back, come to a place where your back feels flat, but then fold in your hip to sit back towards your heel as much as you can. Inner thigh stretch, maybe some hip stuff, maybe a little hamstring stuff, and then press down through your hands. It's almost like you're dragging your hands towards you. Press down through your shin and just take a little bit of the pressure off, okay? So most of your weight is on your bent leg, the knee that's on the mat. We reach back and then pull through. If you're not sitting towards your heel like I am, please don't worry about it. Just go back until you feel that inner thigh stretch. Go back until you feel the reach, the challenge. Good. Pressing through your shin, pulling your shoulder blades down to come all the way back up. One more time here. This is one of my favorite hip kind of reset mobility exercises. You all have seen it before. You've been in class with me enough. It's a challenge, but it's like, you know, outside of doing the Russian splits, I don't know another place that gets the inner thighs quite the same way. All right, so come back into center. Kind of shift your hips from side to side, then let's go ready to go to the other side. Find your long back, feel the support from front to back, and then fold in your hip to sit back towards the heel. This one is double tight. Not surprised. What's really funny is the foot that's in the boot is getting very kind of small because it's not being worked. My leg is very small. It's also not inflamed because it's not being worked. And that's my autoimmune tell, is when things start to get puffy. But this other leg is like, looks like somebody pumped it up. So I've been icing at the end of the day. I'm gonna get back into that cold plunge this weekend. All right, let's do 2 more. It's always something, right? Good. But that's why it's important for, I don't know, for me to kind of talk about what's going on, because like so many times we're not talking about it. And then it turns out that a bunch of us are feeling it. And like, when you start talking about it, like a lot of people who start talking about women's health issues, then like maybe we can actually do something about it, you know? I'm frustrated right now with all things women's health. Let's come on in. All right, one more time, rounding the back. Let's start with the tailbone, curling under, rounding through, pressing down, looking deep, feeling that stretch across your back, and then release through the extension, all the way through to the chest, eyes up to the eyebrows, and then come back to center. Let's remove one arm, and then let's just take a thread of the needle right through the center, reaching over. If you land on your shoulder, wonderful. If not, just support yourself with your opposite arm. And let's take a breath here. Sometimes it helps to shift your hips towards the side of the arm that's threaded. So if your right arm is threaded, you shift your hips to the right. Sometimes it can be too much. You make the call, okay? Good. Come on up. Take that same arm, reach it to the top corner of your mat, widen your legs, and then kind of sit back in a rest pose. But the idea is to give you an underarm stretch. So this arm is reaching and I'm sitting back on the opposite diagonal. If it's your right arm, you're sitting back to the left. If it's your left arm, you're sitting to the right. And this is going to sound very strange, but do your best to breathe into your armpit. Not
smell your armpit, but send your breath into the space of your underarm so it feels like it could expand. Oh, never a dull moment. I really am just a 9-year-old in a 46-year-old body, you know. Good. All right, come all the way up. Find yourself right onto the place where both hands are underneath your shoulder, and then let's open up the opposite side and thread the needle. We're coming off the knees after this one. I have to say, for as uncomfortable as it's been to be on my knees, wow, is it just in 2 weeks, I'm feeling like I've built a tolerance that's more comfortable. And so it's just kind of opened my mind to like, hey, maybe I should hang out on my knees a little more. I know that feels like, ooh, we don't want to do that, but there is this law of the body where it's like where you place stress, the body will adapt to the stress. It's just how you go about it, right? You don't want to overstress your body. All right, press all the way up. Let's reach it to the corner of the mat and then lean back to the opposite side. And again, send your breath into the space. Really nice. Good. And come all the way back up. Let's make our way back. If you need a little shake out in the center, take it. Let's make our way onto a seated position. That kind of feels good just to move side to side. But we'll go ahead and swivel around. Good. So, yeah, we talk about this a lot actually, that while it's very generous to make comments about looks and body, we're not going to do that on this channel because we're really here for the movement. So while I thank you for your generosity, it's honestly not necessary. You're welcome here to move with us, but we're trying to avoid making comments on other people's bodies, mine included, for good or for bad. So my most love for you, let's move together. That's what we're here for, okay? So let's bend up one knee. I'm going to take the one with the boot. We're going to wrap around, and then we're going to take the opposite hand back, and then let's sit up as tall as we can so that we feel a little bit of a length happening on the outside of that bent knee thigh. And then we're going to rotate to face the back. And I want you to look as far back as you're able to without straining or stressing. I'm doing that really nice rotation. Good. Let's come back to the front. Stay here for a moment. Just let your hips and spine settle. And then let's do it again. Try a rotation where you create lots of space in your spine. So press down through your sits bones. Imagine you're pushing a weight up through the crown of your head. Then rotate and twist. Take a couple breaths that breathe in space along your spine, turning you a little bit deeper. Dressed in a gown, everybody's like, why you going nowhere special? Just going to the store. Maybe one more time. Good, and then we're going to recover back to center. Okay, now on this last one, we're going to imagine that we're compressing the spine. Now it's not dangerous. You don't have enough load to push down, but just use the image of becoming more compact. Sometimes that thought process can give you more rotation. So as we sit facing front, it's almost like we're just trying to become heavier into the mat, and then we rotate once again, wrap the arm around, and turn. So for me today, it is a matter of length helping me twist. And that's interesting because some days it's the opposite. Good. We'll come back to center. Before we go to the other side, we're just going to let this leg come out to the side. So we're in a little bit of a half straddle. And then we're naturally going to face the direction of the hips, which are on the diagonal. But I'd like us to turn the rib cage towards the leg, reach your arms down, lift your chest, and then just stretch forward. We're going to start to feel a little bit of an outer hip stretch, I think, for most of us. Some of us, it's going to be a little hamstring on the opposite leg, maybe calf. Your goal is to keep your back nice and long here. Come on back. Nice and long, lifting the chest. take a deep breath with me. And then as we exhale, finger walk towards your heels a little more. Maybe that stretches your arms, maybe it stretches your back, maybe it stretches your hips. Take one more deep breath, and wherever you are, you can allow yourself to rest downward. If it feels like it would be useful, I'd like to invite you to make a little sigh or a groan or a as you make your next exhale. So we'll breathe in and let it go. We'll do one more like that. Breathing in. You can also not sigh. It's up to you. Sometimes vocalizing helps me get through the tough spot to the stretch that I really need. Good. Rolling up through your spine. Let's bring that knee back into center. Send it forward. Give your knees a little release. And then open your legs the width of the mat. Take your hands behind your head, or if you need to, onto your shoulders. Let's grow through the spine and just hinge forward over both legs evenly. Now, from here, think of lifting your head out of your shoulders or lifting your chest up. So we're creating lots of long length in that hinge. We'll take our hands to our shins, our knees, our ankles. One more big breath, and then allow yourself to round over. Good. Yeah, so it's very important for me as a teacher to keep the focus on our experience, what we're actually feeling and sensing in our bodies as opposed to what it looks like. Let's roll up through the spine. There's always going to be some form cues and some ways of creating length, etc. But at the end, I'm working from the premise that everyone's aesthetic is exactly as it needs to be, perfect in its design. And if we can create a deeper experience for you, so be it. But it doesn't matter to me what it looks like, okay? Let's pull it up. Standing nice and strong into that leg. Let's just take our first rotation. This one, even though there's activity in it, I would characterize it as more passive, just seeing what's there for you in terms of your range of motion. Using your hand to support yourself and not to force the range. Yeah. Good. Coming back around to the front. Find your sits bones grounded down, reaching up through the crown of your head. And then again, or this time we're lengthening. So grow, feel that weight pushing up and then rotating around to the back. Good. Keep breathing. Keep lifting, seeing what's there for you. And then bring it all the way back to the center. Good. This time, attempting a little compression, seeing if that's what works. So kind of feeling compact in your center, rotating around. Yeah, there's a different sensation on both of those for me, for sure. And then come all the way back to center. Good, I see your comments, I gotta read them. Let's take that knee down. Let yourself square over your hips. So the square just means the shoulders and the hip bones make kind of a little rectangle square with each other. But then we're gonna twist the square so the shoulders face your leg. Reach your arms out, lift up, and fold at your hips, hinge. This hinge is gonna be kind of a determining factor as to how we're gonna treat the hip. You can use the word treat any way you like. I'm thinking of more in terms of the lollipop variety. Yes. So let's lengthen up again. Finger walk to your desired length, wherever that is for you. Take one last breath in and then allow yourself to rest in the stretch. Just see what wants to happen here. We did a lot of hip work this week, and I feel like there is definitely some opportunity for release that's happening for me, so hopefully for you too. All of the snow in this
Good, and then let's roll up through the spine. All right, take the legs out. This time you have the choice of going back to a wide position or just keeping them narrow, hands behind the head. Reach up nice and tall again. Hinge at your hips to find that double hamstring stretch. I am working an active flex to try to lengthen the back of my calves because, man, they are super tight. I think most of you have seen my little crutch contraption online. My all-terrain scooter arrives today and I couldn't be happier about it. Woo. Good. And staying here for a couple more beats. Good. Rolling up through your spine. And then from here, we're gonna take ourselves all the way down onto our backs. So however that works for you. Blowing away that soreness. Oh, good. I'm so happy when I meet your needs. It is the people pleaser in me being very excited about it all. All right, so here we are on our backs, making your way down. Let's walk our feet in. Bring your arms to a T or a low V, wherever feels the most comfortable for you. And then just bring a little space between your legs here. So maybe hip width distance apart. And we're just gonna take a gentle rock and roll, letting the knees drop to one side and just seeing what's there for you in terms of the range. Just remember, like, the goal is to never judge. Let's come back through center. We aren't working with good or bad, we're just working with what is. And every time we do that, we think about it as, okay, what's happening today? Then we have an opportunity to work with it. And sometimes what's happening is just gonna be enough and it's fine. And sometimes what's happening is gonna reveal a potential for maybe more breath. Let's go back to the first side. More stretch, more attention, sometimes more forgiveness, more grace. I talk to so many women each week, specifically in the business owning arena, where the general consensus is that they're not doing enough. And it's like these women are, in some cases, taking care of kids and a business, traveling all over cities, you know, writing and da-da-da. We're all doing enough. So the little check-ins of what is happening today, that sometimes is helpful in understanding what enough is. Let's go one more time each way. This time, as you take your knees over to one side, take the opposite arm up nice and high. Think of just breathing into the length between the top hip and the same arm on that side. And then we're gonna start to draw circles. So bring that top arm all the way overhead as much as you can. Bend your elbow if you need to. Bring it around. Reach your hand towards your opposite hand. Trace all the way down to the knee. And then continue to open that arm back up. Land in your starting position. See if that feels a little more connected to the floor. And then let's go ahead and send our legs back to center, replace our arm, and go to the other side. So the knees drop over, your arm reaches up, and you just look for space. And then we're gonna start to trace around. You just keep your hand connected to the floor for as long as possible. Again, we're not trying to, we're not working for scores here. We're just doing what we need to do to find a stretch, yeah? Bring it up and over, and then bringing it all the way back. All right, so let's work for a few moments just on a little core connection, and then we're gonna work into some deeper stretches once again. So starting with your pelvis, I'd like you to rock your hips back until your lower back is against the ground. So close the distance between your lower back and the mat as best you can. And then rock forward until your tailbone is against the ground. So the heaviness is at the bottom of your pelvis. And then as we go backwards, the heaviness is at the top of your pelvis. Now this can be a really great way to start a massage. So if you think of yourself as being the massage therapist and your pressure reaches down into the mat, then sometimes that pressure can really do great things to release some of the held tissues there and just kind of stimulate some senses down there. All right, so we've got back to the lower back.
We've got forward to the tailbone. And then let's come and just rest in center, wherever center is for you. For some of us, our back is going to be really lifted in our centered position. For others, it's going to be more close to the mat. It's personalized because your body has its own blueprint, okay? So now let's take our hips, we're going to tilt the hips over. Imagine if you were laying in sand, you're pushing your left hip down into the sand to make an indentation, little divot there. Your right hip is light. It's enough so I can slide my hand under it, but it's not so much that I'm turning my legs. My knees are still facing the ceiling. Then from here, we're going to level out the two sides and then drop the right hip down to lift the left hip up. So pushing it into the ground. For me, this feels fantastic for my lower back. So let's come back again, level them both. Press down into the left to lift the right. And level them both. Press down into the right to lift the left. And level them both and come back to center. Okay, so we're going to imagine the face of a clock. 12 o'clock is our belly button. 6 o'clock is our tailbone, pubic bone. 3 is your left hip, 9 is your right. I think that's right. So now our goal is to rock around the clock and touch 12, 3, 6, and 9, okay? So rock your hips back to 12, feel your lower back connect really definitely. Then shift and rock around to 3. Now your left hip is down, your right hip is up. Continue to rock around the clock to 6, tailbone down. And then rock around to the right hip. We go back and around to 12. It's like the clock is kind of rotating. You go over to 3. You come to 6. I'm trying to show with my hands. And then you come back around to 9. Let's do it one more time in this direction. So 12 is tilted back, the lower back connects. You come through center and then left hip gets the weight. You go down in center, but the tailbone has the majority of the weight. And then you go over to the right side. And then we come back to 12. And then let's release and just shake it out. Notice how your hips are. Maybe take a little side to side twist and see how that feels. Sometimes it'll open you up a little bit. Okay. Coming back, let's go in the opposite direction. So start with 12, tilting back, your lower back gets connected. Then we rotate to 9 o'clock. Then we rotate down to the tailbone. Then we rotate over to 3. Then back to 12. Good. Now, as we go around a couple more times, you can keep going on your own timing. What I'd like you to think about is the numbers in between our 4 landmark numbers. So as you go around, you're kind of going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12. And begin to see if you can attempt to make contact with those other numbers. It's not the easiest thing in the world, for sure. But I want you to just see what happens when you try. We'll go one more time in this direction. I'm going backwards, so 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 is always real hard for me. 3, 2, 1, 12, and then release. Okay, as we're in center, I want you to imagine that all 4 numbers could push down with even pressure at the same time. And we know that that's kind of impossible. So the strategy we'll use is to make our clock face smaller. So maybe it's the size of an alarm clock or a pocket watch or a wristwatch. However small it needs to be to feel a definite pressure down, like we're trying to push those numbers into the mat. Once you have that, you're gonna make fists with the hands and just lift your right leg up and then lower down. Your goal is to keep all 4 numbers connected to the mat. Try not to shift off of them. So we're just gonna walk it side to side, lifting up, and keep your focus on that clock, I should say. Good. That's it. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. One more each side. Last one. Good, and release. Okay, good, nice way to stabilize, yeah? So from here, let's go ahead and straighten both legs out. You'll notice that 12 wants to pop away from the mat. So your goal here is just to allow gravity to help you. Try to keep your pelvis in a centered position. And then from here, we're gonna bring one knee up into the chest. Now, if you pull a whole lot, you'll probably lose connection to 6, to the tailbone. So just pay attention to your clock here and pull that knee in without changing your pelvis. Maybe it comes up as far as mine, maybe it doesn't, but when you pay attention to that clock, you start to feel a different sense of stretch. Remember 3 and 9 as well. That's it. Good. All right, we're gonna take your left hand to your right knee. If your right knee's up, just switch it if you did the opposite leg. Lift yourself off of 9 and twist over so that everything is on 3. Everything's on the left hip. And we're just taking that twist across. If you wanna make a little platform for your leg and straighten it out, you can. Good. Hi Joy, I just saw you pop in. Tracy, I want to read your comment when I'm not upside down, but I have a feeling I get it, and I'm glad your back feels better. Good. All right, bend that knee in, replace your clock, open your knee to the side, and just give it a little hug out to the side, little inner thigh stretch. But can you open that knee out to the side without coming off of the opposite side of your clock? I swear, this is such a challenging concept because it requires a bit of specificity and precision. And certainly you can stretch without being so specific. But sometimes having that little extra tool can give you the little extra stretch or support you need, yeah? All right, let's bring it in. Let's reach it down. And just check in with those numbers. Where are you? Yes, we'll bring the other knee in. Trying to stay on our clock face nice and evenly here. I'm just sinking in. Because it's quite possible to kind of tilt the pelvis and bring the knee in closer. That's almost like skipping the race to get to the finish line, yeah. Hi, Flash. What was that look for? All right, let's take the knee over. You just gave me a stare that I didn't like there. All right, you can make the platform for your leg. Let's extend it out. Kind of doing some basic leg stretches today, but we will diversify a bunch as time goes on. I feel like I need a little more of this, and I'm gonna just flag that I do and maybe go back and do a little later. Let's come back into center. Open out to the side, opposite hip stays down. Good. And then come back to center. Reach your legs both long for a moment. Stretch your arms overhead. Let your back arch up off the ground. Just take that nice long breath into your belly. And then just relax and sit down. And when I say sit down, I mean like sink down with your back. We're gonna make our way up to a seated position, but also if you wanna do a little breathing on your back laying down, get into a comfortable position and just be there. I'm gonna just take a little roll up to the top, coming all the way up, a little extra back. So we're gonna finish today. I don't know that too many of you have experienced meditation with me. And if this is your first time meditating, just know that it's going to be an active breathing practice where you just get to relax for a few minutes. So don't worry too much about never having done it or only having done it a certain way. This is really a means of connecting to ourselves. And today we're going to work on something called a grounding cord meditation. And so it's a brief practice that helps us anchor our thoughts
And sometimes that will help us anchor our nervous system when we feel really activated, agitated, etc. So give me a second, get into your comfortable position. Yeah. You know, it's so funny, I just posted something about women's health. It was a parody about what they say, and you know, isn't it interesting that 90% of the time, it always has to do with weight loss. I just have really, you know, this is gonna sound a little woo-woo, but I've just felt very called, especially this week and with the experience with this foot, where I was told that a lot of it was in my head, or that I was feeling really sensitive, only to find out that things were torn and sprained and strained when someone actually took the time to listen to me. And this isn't the first time that that's happened with my body specifically. Endometriosis is a huge one. Hysterectomy, C-section, my birth experience, infertility, all of these things. It's like this constant, you know, drop a few pounds. And you know what? It has nothing to do with it. Weight doesn't equal pain. Lack of weight doesn't equal lack of pain. Our bodies are so much more complex than the mass we take up in the room. So anyway, you're probably going to hear me speaking a little bit more about women's health and just advocating for ourselves, and I hope that's okay. But for now, I think it is very, very, very much time for us to ground. So before I get all fired up. So just find yourself in a comfortable position. I'll invite you to close your eyes, but if you don't want to, or if you're not in a space where it feels like that would be a safe choice for you, just cast them downward a few feet in front of your seated position, your mat, or you can just kind of pull your gaze inward. Sometimes I think of kind of fogging it over is helpful. And if you feel like you're activated today, maybe your palms will go down to give yourself more of a closed circuit, grounding energy. And if you feel like you need a little energy, maybe your palms will go up. I think I'm gonna rest my forearms on my thighs. You can always do this in a chair. If you're laying down, just make yourself comfortable. And let's just begin a few deep breaths. Start to bring our awareness to our breath and simply notice how it's moving through our bodies. Which parts of us respond to the inhale with movement? Which parts of us respond to the exhale, maybe with release? And with each breath that goes by, just an intention to being open to any shifts that want to be made within your body. Being open to allowing your body to find its way towards comfort. So I'd like you to continue to breathe normally, just inhaling and exhaling at a cadence and a pace that feels nourishing for you. You can choose to breathe in and out through the nose only, or you can choose to breathe in and out through the nose and out through your mouth. And as we continue to breathe, I'd love to bring your awareness to the back of your body. And just visualize the length of your spine from the tip of your tailbone up through the crown of your head. I've often heard the skull described as like a swollen vertebrae. So it's just a very big one at the top of your spine. So we'll include it into our visual. And as you take your next few breaths in, maybe you can visualize your inhalations traveling through your nose to the back of your throat, down the length of your body towards the bottom of your lungs, maybe even towards the bottom of your tailbone. And when you exhale, the opposite happens. The energy travels up from the ground and out all the way through your nose or through your mouth. As we continue to breathe, I'd like you to consider that each breath
is an opportunity, holds an opportunity to connect you to the ground beneath. So as you breathe in, we can think almost about breathing down the full length of the spine towards the tip of the tail, and maybe that breath continues down through the tailbone, down through the earth, down through the mat, reaching, 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 almost creating an energetic cord that connects you to the ground. As you exhale, we fortify that cord. As we inhale, we grow it even deeper into the ground beneath us. As we exhale, we just rest in knowing that we can feel the ground beneath us as well as our connection to it. And from here, I'd like you to imagine that your skull, your head, is almost like a balloon. There can be a sense of floating up away from your spine. But on this balloon, there is a string that's part of the cord. You can give your balloon a color, a shape. It can simply be that quintessential balloon. And just for a few breaths, allow it to float around above your body, knowing that if you need to pull it back to connect and settle, your grounding cord is only a breath away. Your balloon has the ability to float high, gain perspective from a wide vantage point, and it also has the ability to stay really close to the rest of your body. And as you begin to deepen your breaths, imagine that with each inhalation, you re-energize that sense of the grounding cord, drawing our balloon, our awareness, really back closer to us. Breathing in to feel that energy down your spine. Breathing out to fortify it. Taking the next few breaths just to complete the process. When you're ready, you can release the image of the balloon and the cord. And just breathe. From here, we'll begin to deepen our breath and bring a little movement into our fingers and toes. Give yourself a little shift through the hips. And when you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can blink them open. If they're open, you can come back into focus into the room, into the space around you. So the purpose of the grounding cord exercise is to give you a tool to use. And there are times within our day, whether it's interactions with other people or frustrations at the world or traffic, where we start to feel disconnected, where it's almost like the awareness floats so high and has so much information
that it can't kind of make sense of where we are. And we can get lost in our thoughts and our feelings and the media and other people. And the grounding cord is just a breath away. So in the event that I feel knocked out in my nervous system or my awareness, confused, frustrated, disappointed even, thinking about using that image of the grounding cord to bring myself back to a place where I feel connected to myself. I remember kind of where I am in space, and I know I have control at least over my breath. That can be a huge power play in terms of the ways in which you navigate through your stressors. So I really hope that you'll try to put this one to use. It's as simple as just dropping a chord. That's a couple of my colleagues, we just say, I gotta go drop a chord, which sounds a little off now that I say it out loud, but we know what we mean. We know what we mean. Yes. Yes, so thank you for being here with me through that, and you can expect some of our exercises that are going to be a little more considerate. Some of them will be a little more focused on our breath. Yeah. That's right, Colleen. We have to keep speaking up. We have to keep, I think that is, one of the things that we keep hearing about in terms of women's health is that there are a lot of individualized stories that sound the same, but I do feel that many times we're made to feel like our experience is the only one that's happened, when in fact it's not. So we have to keep speaking up for ourselves and for each other. So I appreciate that. We made it through the first week of 3 classes, albeit a little bit compromised. Thank you all for being here with me. If you missed class yesterday, it is a leg strengthening extravaganza with a microphone. So enjoy yourself with that. The replay should be up, whether it's in the live or in the replay. Thank you, Joy. I think you rock as well. I think all of you rock. I'm so happy you all stuck it out with me today. I hope your bodies feel good for the week ahead. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Monday, and we'll just see what we're going to keep rolling with it. I go to get a checkup next week. We'll see how things are going. I have a feeling I'll be in for an extra week, but I have every confidence that as long as we keep showing up for each other together in this space, that we'll make it through. So don't forget to spread the word out there. I got a new SEO tool, so hopefully my videos start to get seen on YouTube a little differently. Who knows? I'm just happy with our community in all honesty. So I appreciate you being here, and have a wonderful rest of your day.